It's time for Good Game Spawn Point.
Coming up on the show, we go hot on the trail of some pesky Pokemon in Detective Pikachu.
Plus the fast and funky fun of Nova Flow.
And have you ever wondered what it's like to make music for games? Well, I find out in a Learnscursion.
GGSP powers activate!
Grab your deer stalker, throw on that trench coat and have your notepad at the ready because everyone's favourite little yellow lightning bolt is back in the latest Pokemon spin-off, Detective Pikachu.
Hey, Tim, do you think you could help us out?
I'm gonna start by speaking with his friends and co-workers.
Developed by game studio Creatures, Detective Pikachu is a point-and-click style adventure game for the 3DS. You play as Tim Goodman, a young man who's come to Rhyme City to look for his missing father. That is before he runs into the cute, squeaky voiced ball of lightning himself.
Pika! Pika, 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 pika!
You heard that too, right?
Yeah, I did. I don't know what I was expecting to come out of the mouth of this cute little creature, but the voice of a rugged, grumpy, middle-aged man was not it.
You're stretching out my ears. Would you let me go?
It just doesn't fit with this idea of what I think Pikachu should sound like.
Hello, hello.
Darren? What happened to your voice?
So kind of used to notice. I heard you were playing Detective Pikachu, and I thought I'd try out my new voice modulator. I can be anyone now, even you.
My name is Goose, and I'm the noobiest of noob kind. Oh.
Okay, Darren, that's going a little bit too far.
Yeah, that's not fair at all. First Pikachu, now Darren? This is too many layers of wrong.
Well, this Pikachu is a wisecracking, no-nonsense, coffee-drinking super sleuth who just so happens to be your father's former business partner. And you are the only human who can understand him. Together, you'll set out to get to the bottom of the strange Pokemon attacks plaguing the city, find out what your father was investigating and what it had to do with his disappearance.
Mysterious. The story is made up of 9 chapters that break down the main case into smaller mysteries that you'll need to solve. To do this, you'll be talking to witnesses, gathering evidence, and looking for clues. That's where the great Detective Pikachu comes in. He'll translate for any Pokemon you speak to and gather useful information from them to help your investigation.
Which you'll store in your handy-dandy notebook. Here you'll find any and all information you and Pikachu collect in case lists. When it's time to make your deductions, head over to your case notes where Pikachu will prompt you with questions that need to be answered to solve the mystery.
I'm glad they went with old school pen and paper instead of a smartphone or some other piece of whiz-bang pokey tech. Made me feel like a slick detective in an old black and white movie, see?
It's got that classic whodunit vibe while still holding on to that lovely, colourful Pokemon charm. You'll often find yourself roped into 2 or more cases at a time, each one offering up a piece of the overall puzzle. Early on, I spoke to a man who had lost his pen, only for the pen to become a key piece of evidence later on down the track.
Looks like my prediction was right on.
I love that everything felt connected somehow.
Totally, and it keeps the momentum going as well. At one point, I had to make juice for a Klefki so it would let me into a locked room I needed to investigate. But I couldn't make the juice until I'd completed an experiment for someone else. So even if the tasks aren't super interesting, you always feel like you're progressing in some way.
I just wish the gameplay was more involved. Besides a few quick-time events and a bit of button mashing, Detective Pikachu is little more than a string of simplistic puzzles, the majority of which see you arranging items or testimonies into the correct combination to solve the case. And when a puzzle's that easy, I don't feel like I've earned that victory, you know? I want to work for it.
Yeah, I agree. The solutions are very easy. A couple of times I'd even guess the answer, but because you can't progress without gathering all the clues, I was running around picking up pieces to a puzzle I'd already solved. Even if you do get stuck, you can always ask Pikachu for inspiration, but he'll just give you the answer.
Oh, I got it.
That aside, I do feel what the game lacks in challenge it makes up for in character. Despite the initial shock, Pikachu's voice really brings together this old-school classic detective persona. He's also really funny, giving Tim tips, showing off his moves, and just milking this too-old-for-your-nonsense attitude.
That was a close one.
Well, you know how I feel about that voice, but I have to admit eventually I did even find myself warming to the old-timer. He really does give off the impression of an old man trapped in a Pikachu's body.
While I would have liked some tougher challenges, Detective Pikachu still kept my interest with its colourful world and poster character. It's short, it's sweet, and most importantly, it's fun. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
While I probably won't be picking this up again, I think I ended up enjoying Detective Pikachu more than the last main Pokemon game. I'm giving this 3 out of 5 rubber chickens. Quick, give me your best Detective Pikachu voice.
Pika!
Hey, what you doing? Hey.
I'm not very good at it.
Okay, scoop jacket's on. I should be absorbing those special newsy powers anytime now. Wait, what? The jacket doesn't give you special newsy powers. It never has. You mean the power's been inside me all along? All right then, let's get down to the scoop. First up, it's officially official. The Spyro Remastered Trilogy has been confirmed. Rumours were burning earlier this year about the return of the much-loved Purple Dragon, and turns out they were true! The Spyro Reignited Trilogy will be released on September 21st on PS4 and Xbox One. There's also speculation it might find its way onto the Switch eventually. It will include remastered versions of Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2 Riptos Rage, and Spyro Year of the Dragon. According to Activision, we'll see things like improved environments, graphics, sounds, and updated controls. That's some fiery news for nostalgic Spyro fans out there and those new to the series alike. Next up, gamer dogs. Results of a recent study suggest that playing video games may help keep aging canine minds active. Hundreds of dogs took part in a study from Vienna's University of Veterinary Medicine that used a touchscreen game with a series of shapes. Whenever the doggos selected a round shape with their adorable puppy noses, they'd get a treat. Aww. According to the study, this kind of extra mental stimulation could be very helpful for older dogs, beyond that of standard dog toys. So maybe you can teach an old dog new tricks. The team hope to develop similar programs for other species like wolves, reptiles, and even birds. Could this mean one day playing co-op games with your pet? That's the dream. In other news, the Super Nintendo support hotline is apparently still active. A SNES owner in the US recently called the phone number on the side of the console after experiencing some issues. A customer support representative from Nintendo America actually answered the call and spent time on the phone troubleshooting the issues. They unfortunately weren't able to offer a repair or replacement, but the console owner was pretty stoked to have spoken to an actual human. At least we can assume it was an actual human. And finally, a lawsuit for the bungled Pokemon Go Festival has been settled for over $1.5 million. The Pokemon Go Festival, held in Chicago last year, experienced widespread server issues on the day, preventing players from logging in and causing all-round frustration.
I want to let you know that we're working with the cell companies.
Initially, Niantic responded with refunds, rewards, and in-game currency to those that attended. But for many Pokemon fans who had travelled from all around the globe, this wasn't enough. The recent settlement means the company will reimburse the travel costs for many of the festival goers. But will that really ease the pain of missing the opportunity to catch a rare legendary Pokemon for themselves? Time will tell. And now for this week's Extra Scoop. This week, it's the Sonic Maker unofficial fan project. If you're one of the many Sonic fans who dreams of being able to create your own levels a la Mario Maker, this Extra Scoop is for you. This work-in-progress creator program is a point-and-click level editor. It features common Sonic objects like hazards, rings, and item boxes. So if it ever becomes a fully fledged game, you could one day see Sonic dashing through your dream levels. Endless loops. Well, that's all we have to scoop this week. If you found anything you think would make a good extra scoop, let us know here. So if the jacket doesn't give me super presenter powers, why do I keep wearing it? All right, they look good. Okay, finally found my good controller. Just gotta find my Yoshi. Yeah, here he is. Okay, where's my controller? I just had it, I just put it down. Where did it go? I had it a second ago. It was right here, what? Wait, where's that music coming from?
Music. It's such a big part of every game. From tense, dramatic moments to walking softly down a path, music is always there. But who are the musical maestros who make this music? And how do they go about doing it? To find out, we're going on a learning excursion, or a Learnscursion. Today, I'm dropping in at the Otherworld Agency in Melbourne to find out what it takes to make music for games. Why is music so important in video games?
Music can do many things in video games. It can accent gameplay, it can drive narrative. A lot of what music can do with narrative is that it can basically almost tell you how to feel at times. I mean, you know, sad moments can become even more sad with music, and happy moments can become even more happy with music. So, you know, it's a very powerful tool.
How much music needs to be made for a single video game?
Well, it really depends on the actual video game itself. Some video games, like let's say on your mobile or something like that, maybe don't need that much music. You know, it might only be about 30 seconds sort of on loops and things like that. Whereas like some bigger games like Mario or something like that, like they're gonna need like a lot more music because it's a longer experience. So it does depend on the game.
What are some some of the advantages of being able to work directly with a developer to make music specifically for their game, rather than having them use, say, production music?
Well, when I'm brought onto a project, what I always try and do first as the composer is try and find a very specific signature for a video game that people can identify with immediately. A good example would be Final Fantasy, and they always have like a very sort of similar sort of opening melody where it has like that sort of dun 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 dun. That's almost like you're sort of identifying now with a particular sort of franchise or brand. And the advantage of that is that it becomes a lot more engaging.
How much do you need to know about making games in general to be able to compose for games?
Music typically is difficult to express in words, especially for people that don't come from a musical background. So I find it very useful for any musician, sound designer, composer, any audio person to be able to speak gamer a little bit, because that can actually really help you get your ideas across to them as well. So there's a lot of advantages to be able to sort of speak in sort of terms that developers understand. Communication is key. You want to have as much trust from a developer as possible. Through that, they sort of allow me to sort of suggest ideas to them the way that I think it might work. Of course, you also need to listen always. If they don't like a direction, or if they don't think that it's working, you've got to respect that, and you've also got to sort of make it work for them. And you've got to work with the project, make sure that the project's needs are ultimately sort of met.
So do you think that I could compose some music for a video game?
I definitely think so, Rad. I think we just need to give it a try.
Okay, well, let me give you a little bit of a melody. How about...
All right, let's see what we can do with that. So it's a bit mysterious, isn't it?
It
could be
is.
like a nice little forest or something like that. And then I think we should just put a little bit of cello over the bottom, just to give it a little
deeper.
just to like ground it, you know. So. And there you go. We've got a little melody going for us now.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So basically, you can just come up with the most like sort of basic ideas, just a little piano thing, and you can just sort of make it into anything. You just have a little bit of practice, a little bit of experience, and then you can just sort of create this in about 5 seconds. Now we got our track.
Do you have any advice for spawnlings who might want to get into composing for video games?
Well, you have to be really, really passionate. You know, if you have that passion to create video game music, then you're going to find a way. You can go online, you can look at files on YouTube and things like that. There's forums to show you how to write things a certain way, or to discover new technologies that you need to use. But be passionate, find your own style, and sort of never, ever, ever give up, so to speak, as cliche as that sounds.
It's amazing how much a simple tune can change the emotions in a game. The hard work and creativity of composers is astounding, and the richness they bring through their music is subtle, but really important. I, for one, would hate to think what games would be like without it.
All right, let's dive into the batch of questions, shall we?
We shall. First up, we have a video question from Anise.
Hi SP, I am so happy that you're going to answer me. Anyway, I've got some questions. Number 1, is Goose really called Goose, or is it a nickname? And number 2, what does Darren stand for? And he's also a noob. And 3, can you do a review for Cards, Cats and 4? When is Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery coming out? And speaking of Hogwarts Mystery, you stop it, we're not going to Hogwarts. And Rad and Jam, you guys rock. Well, me and Harry Potter have got to go back to our game, and you have to let go of my hat. So bye.
Oh, thanks, Anise. And thanks there to your kitty too. In answer to your first question, Goose, is Goose your real name or a nickname?
Ah, well, Jem, what is a real name anyway? What even is real in this crazy old mixed up world of ours? Okay, Goose is actually my gamer tag. I'm pretty attached to it too, so it kind of feels like my identity, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. And what does Darren stand for, you ask? Let's ask him. Hear it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
The Robo-Horse.
Hello? Who are you calling a robo-horse?
Oh, how did he... Hey Darren, it's Jem and Goose here. Could you please clarify what Darren stands for?
Well, before my upgrade, it was Data Analyzing Robot for the Ruthless Extermination of Noobs. But since I've been uploaded to the cloud, I thought it only fitting to upgrade my acronym as well. So now I am the Digital Assistant for the Research and Regulation of Excessive Noobery, which is much more now, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, so now. So very, very now. Well, thanks, Darren. Bye.
So long.
So hip now. As for whether we can review Castle Cats, well, I could do a mini review right now. Castle Cats is a free mobile game where you collect cats and send them into battles and quests. It's cute and colourful, but there's not much to the game. I give it 2.5 out of 5 rubber chickens. Well, mini rubber chickens.
You know, we've had quite a bit of cat content lately on AskSP. I feel like we need some dog representation too, you know, just for balance. Send us your video questions with or about dog spawnlings and other animals too. We wouldn't want to be accused of cat bias.
No, we wouldn't want that at all. Now to your final question about Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery. We did actually mention in last week's ep of AskSP that this would be due out in autumn. Since then, we've heard the release date will be the 25th of April, so not long to wait now.
Yes, it's so very close. Now on to our next question from OJ, the king of portals. Hello GGSP, I have some questions. Number 1, are there any newer games like Mod Nation Races on the PS4? Number 2, did you ever review Portal 2? If so, what was its score? If not, can you do a mini review? And last, Jim, say these. Thanks. Thanks OJ, the king of portals. Mod Nation Races. I love the customization options in that great little kart racer.
Yeah, it's tough to find a PS4 game quite like it. However, Sega did tease a Sonic racing game recently, which could be similar, though we're not exactly sure when that's coming out.
Yes, of course. In the meantime, you might like to try Skylanders Superchargers, which is kind of a platformer cross kart racer. Or maybe Trackmania Turbo, a speedy time attack racer that will get your blood pumping.
And there's heaps of other more traditional races on PS4, like say Wipeout, Omega Collection, or Redout. Another co-op racer due out this year is Trailblazers, which looks like it has track painting and teamwork features. So keep an eye out for that one.
These games might not quite have the character karting element of Mod Nation. You could still have some vroom vroom fun though.
Vroom vroom. Now to your question about whether we reviewed Portal 2. I'm pretty sure we did, but let's get Darren back on the line and find out. That was really cool. Thank you.
Hello, Darren speaking.
Hey, Darren, Goose and Jem here again. Just checking if GGSP ever reviewed Portal 2. You're good at remembering things.
Affirmative. I retain and catalogue more or less all data. I'm cataloguing data of this conversation right now. And you are correct. GGSP did indeed review Portal 2 on the show in 2011. It received perfect scores from both Barjo and Hex. And I even scored it 1 terabillion rubber chickens.
A terabillion? That's a frightening amount of rubber chickens to think of.
I'm giving it 1 terabillion rubber chickens out of 10.
I assure you it was the perfect quantification of my opinion of the game's quality. You can find this review and other past reviews through our online channels. What a pleasure it is to watch the old reviews and take a stroll down memory lane. I'm also fond of strolling down random access memory lane from time to time.
Yeah, also so great to hear that you're filing everything we ever do and say in your system there, Darren. It's really comforting. Bye again.
Misty watercoloured memories.
Okay, let's move on to another question. And this one is from the Music L in the land of cats, music and gaming, which sounds
amazing.
Hey GGSP, will you review Super Smash Bros. Switch? Also change your rubber chickens to gaming controllers or my music lings will destroy you. Jem, do these.
Oh. Thanks for your question, the Music L. I'd say it's highly likely we will be reviewing Super Smash Bros. On the Switch when it comes out, provided it's PG or G, of course, which I'm fairly certain it will be.
Yeah, I'd say it's a sure thing we'll review it. It's such a highly anticipated game, and we know there's a whole heap of Smash fans out there who would be keen to see it reviewed.
And I can't wait to check out what's new in the game too. We have an inkling that at least one Splatoon character might be joining the roster of playable characters. And hopefully there'll be other fun new things too.
Oh, it's so exciting! As for changing rubber chickens to gaming controllers, well, I don't know about that. I've grown quite attached to those rubber chickens. They're so cute and, what's the word?
Chickeny.
Chickeny, that's the one. I think we should stick with them at least for now.
Yeah, I like them too, Goose, but what about those musiclings they mentioned would destroy us? Are you scared of them? Whatever they are.
No, I'm not worried at all, Jem. Lucky for us, I just happen to have some special musicling repellent on hand for situations just like this. So you just give it a quick little spritz, a little bit on me there, and look. It doesn't smell great, but at least we won't be destroyed by any musiclings soon. Yeah.
Wait, what is that?
Oh, I don't want to alarm you, Jem, but that is a musicling. I don't think the repellent's working. Oh, no, in fact, I think it's failed. I repeat, the repellent has failed. Run!
Okay, I better wrap this up quickly. If you'd like to send us a question, especially a video question, go, here. Oh, that seems to have fixed it. What's actually in this? Oh, reverse repellent. Goose. Time to get loose, Goose, because we're going with the flow. The Nova flow. Looser. Looser. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Nova Flow is a first-person speedrunning platformer by Melbourne-based developer Rectangle Studios. You'll be leaping across floating platforms in a neon tronscape as you shoot different coloured lights to clear your path, all while a pumping electronic dance soundtrack plays.
There's lots of blank platforms which you'll need to light up in order to pass. And they'll behave differently depending on what colour you use to light them. Blue makes you go faster, red gives you a good bounce, and yellow makes you stick. They also look different according to what colour would be most useful. Blue platforms are long with lots of holes, red ones are more square, and yellow ones are walls that you can run across.
But don't let the game tell you what to do or what colour things should be. You do you. I sometimes found that using an unexpected colour was very useful for getting past a tricky area. It's nice that the game makes suggestions, but it's also cool you have the freedom to do your own thing.
Oh, I love doing my own thing. The game also drip feeds you new mechanics and obstacles, which nicely ramps up the challenge. It's also super satisfying when you can settle into the groove and link quite long runs together, making snappy decisions and quick movements. NovaFlow actually uses one of my favourite gameplay styles, known as Twitch gameplay.
Twitch gameplay puts your reaction times to the test and requires you to respond almost immediately. They're defined by see and react situations, where something happens, like an enemy appearing, and the faster you can deal with it, the better you will do.
Thanks, Darren. You may have already seen this style of game before in titles like Tower of Guns, or even Tetris has Twitch elements as the game gets faster.
Oh, it's such an adrenaline rush trying to figure out what to do on the fly. Think fast. Pretty good. And NovaFlow does a pretty good job of keeping that sense of smooth and linked motion going. However, there are some moments where you almost need to come to a complete standstill to pass. That is not what I signed up for. This is supposed to be Nova Flow, not Nova Slow.
Yeah, the game movement wasn't always quite what I expected. What's wrong with your face?
I came up with that line myself. Nova Slow, they rhyme.
There were quite a few times when I totally thought I should have made a jump, but instead I just fell straight to the floor. But for every time that happened, there were times when I'd just stick a landing I was sure I was going to miss. And in that way it seemed to remain balanced, but it still didn't feel as tight as I'd like for a game that really only has one thing going on.
Yeah, but even though the platforming isn't always perfect, I quite liked how stripped back it was. It's kind of like playing a really pure experience.
Yeah, except maybe too stripped back in the case of things like the graphics. This is a pretty bare bones game visually, and I don't love the jaggy look of the platforms or the empty background. It's all just triangles and cubes. In fact, it kind of reminds me of Darren's new house.
That's preposterous, Goose. I think you'll find that my digital abode has been outfitted with the very highest quality ones and zeros.
Yeah, it's definitely not a beautiful game, but it does the job in giving you the information to get to the next platform. Which is all it's trying to do.
Yeah, it's almost as if this game is like a training session. With quick reload times and speedrun options, you can jump in again and again just to hone your skills. I I can't be 100% sure, Rad, but I almost feel like playing this should kind of improve my reflexes.
Yeah, but like most training, it's best not to overdo it. Novaflow is pretty intense, with fast-moving lights and pulsating sound. If you're sensitive to strobing effects, I would maybe give this a miss. I definitely started to feel a bit woozy if I played for too long.
Yeah, definitely. I started to feel too wired and too twitchy, but maybe that's why it's called Twitch gameplay. All in all, Novaflow is a cool little game that's fun to take for a spin in between other things, so I'm giving it 3 out of 5 rubber chickens.
I really love Twitch-based shooters, and this lets you experience all the side-strafing fun in a family-friendly package. I really liked it. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Crank that music again?
Yeah!
You know what? That game was quite a surprise.
Yeah, go Aussies! Next week on GGSP, we'll crack the portal-like puzzles of Cube 2.
Are there any survivors out there?
Plus, I head out to the first robotics competition to see some amazing AI.
Also, we'll have a review of Swords of Ditto.
Don't forget to check out what else we're doing online. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Goose out.
Rad out.
Jen out.